What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Hustle or Stay Basic channel. I'm your host, KG. Today, we're going to look at a growth stock in a niche industry. If you guys enjoy this video, please subscribe and drop a thumbs up or a like. Click that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and let's get right into it. So, the stock that we're looking at today has risen over 400% in the last 12 months. It's an industry leader in sports iGaming, and we're going to be looking at this stock from two perspectives. The growth investor perspective, the person who's super optimistic on how this company is going to grow and has some information to back that up, and the intelligent investor perspective, which is going to be my perspective. And at the end, you guys can make your decision. So a company we're looking at today is DraftKings, ticker symbol DKNG. I want to give a shout out to Gagan Gandhi, who recommended this and dropped a comment and asked me to look into this company. If you guys are interested in, any other company, drop a comment. I'll take a look for sure. So DraftKings is a sports betting website and app, and what they allow users to do are, play daily fantasy, season-long fantasy, and sports betting. So if you have no idea what fantasy is and you're thinking like, Lord of the Rings? No, it's not that. It's fantasy sports. No, it's not that either. Okay, I'm going to try my best to explain daily fantasy sports. If you're not following sports at all, this might be difficult. So essentially, you have to come up with a combination of players that you think are going to do the best that day. So if you were doing the National Basketball Association or the NBA daily fantasy, you'd pick 5 players that you think would perform the best that day. And of course, you just can't pick 5 of the best players. There's usually like a budget, and the better players cost more, like we got here, and the players that aren't that great cost a little bit less. Based on that, everyone enters into this daily fantasy contest. There's many contests going on every day, and the winners of the pool win a grand prize, and the losers win nothing, and DraftKings themselves just take about 10% of the pool money. Season-long fantasy is pretty similar. The only thing is it's not daily. You pick your players once and you have to ride or die with them for the whole year. And at the end of the year, based on how you finish in your league, you can win some prizes. The cool thing about DraftKings is there's something for everyone. You have fantasy football, fantasy basketball, fantasy golf, fantasy NASCAR, fantasy MMA, mixed martial arts. We even have some esports over here. So, you can essentially bet daily or in a season-long format for any of these sports, which is pretty cool. DraftKings is the hands-down undisputed leader in daily fantasy sports. There's no one even close. Okay, daily fantasy and season-long fantasy are done. Now we can talk about something that a lot of people are familiar with, and that's sportsbook betting. In sportsbook betting, you can bet on a team that you think is going to win, and also if there's a spread involved in it, you can determine by how much or how less a team is going to win by. This is where a lot of money can be made and a lot of money can be lost. Gambling isn't legal everywhere, and for daily fantasy sports, it's pretty well legal in most places. As you can see in this map here, the orange indicates areas where gambling is legal and the gray indicates where it's unavailable for daily fantasy sports. So, for a majority of the US, it's available. Now, where it gets tricky with DraftKings is sportsbook betting. Not many states have legalized sportsbook betting. That creates a lot of opportunity for DraftKings and also a lot of hurdles that they got to go through. In this map, you will see the green areas indicate where sportsbook betting is available, and the gray areas, of course, they're considering it, and the black areas they are not legal at all. All right, cool. So you got a taste of how DraftKings works. Let's go look at, how they operate. Let's go look at the dollars. So here are a couple of graphs showing their sales and earnings over the last couple of years and the last couple of quarters. And, for earnings, they're trending in the wrong direction. They're going down, and most recently, really, really down. But the sales have been going up and up and up annually. And of course, over here, there was some pain with no sports going on due to the pandemic, which is totally understandable. So for most companies, negative earnings is not a good thing, but for DraftKings, it kind of makes sense, and I'll explain that in our next slide. So here we have the income statement for the last quarter that ended in September 30th, 2020. And the thing that I just want to highlight is they did 132 million last quarter. Compare that to last year, it's a huge bump, a bump of 98%. And the biggest thing that's driving their losses right now is sales and marketing. If you turn on the TV at any sporting event, for any sporting event, you will see a DraftKings commercial, and they are just super aggressive right now on their marketing. They know everyone's home, everyone wants a piece of the action. They can't go to games, they can't participate as fans, so why not, get your phone and bet and get involved in that sense. So they are being super aggressive in sales and marketing, and that is what is driving their net loss. Okay, now I'm going to put my growth investor hat on and get super optimistic about the prospects of DraftKings. So I shared the maps with you guys in earlier slides, and basically this whole blurb is saying 13% of the US population can now participate in sports betting. So that just means there's a huge population that cannot, and that just opens up a lot of opportunity for them to grow. So much that Yahoo Finance estimates that they'll be growing 40% per year. That's insane growth. They're actually projected to do 550 million in sales this year, and that number will jump to 845 million next year. That's insane. That's 53% in 1 year. Another thing that I think is important to look at from a growth investor perspective is the total market size of the gaming industry, and specifically the sports betting industry. I did a quick calculation here, and the global gaming market for sports betting is estimated or projected at $73 billion. That is massive. If DraftKings can be a leader in that space, that means really good things for investors. Every month, or it seems like every week, there's more and more news on what DraftKings is doing, and it's all positive stuff. For example, very recently they became the official partner of the Detroit Pistons. They made a debut at the Masters, that's golf, and they're also launching their sportsbook, mobile sportsbook in Tennessee. So they're really active, really aggressive in marketing, like all the right things to kind of take advantage of this pandemic and also take advantage of a niche environment. One of the things I like doing when I don't really understand if a company is overvalued or undervalued or equal weight is comparing market caps. You might have seen it in my last video for Momo. The market cap for this company is 19.29 billion, this one 15 billion, and this one about 11 billion. Now, I kind of hid the company's names because I kind of wanted you to think about, hey, which one should be worth more? Here are the 2021 projections for these companies. And of course, you'll probably already tell this one's DraftKings with 845 million projected for 2021. This company has 9.22 billion projected for 2021. And this one has a revenue of about 5 billion projected for 2021. Both of these companies, based on market cap, are valued at significantly less than DraftKings. So what are these companies? We got MGM and Penn National Gaming, which operates online casinos as well as physical properties. Now, of course, DraftKings being such a niche in fantasy sports and sports betting, I had to kind of look around and see what companies kind of matched up with them. MGM does offer sports betting. Penn National Gambling offers, online casinos, which is kind of like an online platform for betting. So I kind of wanted just to compare these three together. You can see that DraftKings is valued significantly higher than these other two companies. Does it make sense? Personally, I don't think so. Not this early in DraftKings company's, history. But don't take my word. Let's look at what some analysts are saying. So a JP Morgan analyst is forecasting 2025 revenues of 9.2 billion for sports betting and 5 billion for iGaming. This is in 2025. This isn't today. And that's based on 71% of the US population being able to bet legally, which isn't the case today at all. As we saw, it was about like 13%. So even if this happens in 2025, I think we're looking at a company probably worth in the $20-25 billion range if they are absolutely leading that industry. And today, DraftKings is valued at almost 20 billion. That just doesn't sit right with me. So Morgan Stanley gave a high-end bullish estimate that sports betting could generate 15 billion in revenue by 2025. Now that's just sports betting. If you remember, the JP Morgan analyst said 5 billion in iGaming. If we add those two together, we're looking at 20 billion by 2025. Now, I can see DraftKings being a leader in that space, but that still does not mean it should be worth 20 billion today, in my opinion. So let's just go to my final thoughts now. So going back to that little infographic that I shared with you guys earlier in this video, if DraftKings was to own 30% of the global market, that's the whole world in sports betting, that would be $22 billion in revenue. Today, their market cap alone sits at 20 billion. And I just think that's too overvalued. I think there's a lot of potential for DraftKings and they could grow into that $20 billion market cap. But at this moment, it is way too high. If you can get this stock, I would imagine for something in the 10 to 13 billion, maybe it's worth looking at. But even then, I think you're speculating at a very high level. Do you agree or disagree? Drop a comment below. Let me know what you think. And if you liked this video or thought it was helpful, please subscribe and click on the like button. I would really appreciate it. Anyways, thanks again for tuning into another video, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.